Welcome to the Fearless Floyd Show. We'll begin in 2 minutes. Welcome to the Fearless Floyd Show. As always, I am your host, Fearless Floyd, and I am live with NOEL BENOIST. We just put one in the can in the past hour about Pandora's box. And it's not quite Pandora's box, what you would think, so it will be uploaded. So look for that coming up this week. And I have Noel backstage. And if you saw from the thumbnail, pop this up. I don't know why everything's playing slow today, and that's not even the one I punched. I don't even know why that one came up, but this is both of them. This is Noel. We will both be speaking at the Sky Pony Gallery. It's an art gallery in Plano, Texas. He'll be speaking Saturday, August 9th. I will be speaking Sunday, August 10th. Noel from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Basically a 2-hour presentation, 2-hour meet, greet, book signing. Following day, I will begin speaking at 1, should end around 3, and then 3 to 5, we'll have a book signing, meet and greet, pictures, all that stuff. Noel could possibly be there on Sunday. I haven't asked him. He really doesn't have to be there, but he probably want to go hang out. Or he may have somebody he wants to see in DFW while he is there for that time period. So I don't know, but we'll see. So he'll definitely be there Saturday, August 9th. So if you want to see Noel, that's what you need to do. And of course, I removed another thumbnail, and I don't know why this thing is just dragging its ass. So let me kick one of these and see if that helps. got rid of it. Okay. I appear to be back. And let me go snag one of these files again just to make sure. Oh, of course, it's going to make me jump through those hoops. Get to that later. All right. Without further ado, let me invite Noel Benoist. So I really don't have to do an introduction because I'm going to run the banner down here. Noel Benoist, Army brat, choir boy, Cub Scout, Boy Scout, U.S. Army Major, retired, NSA agent, Man in Black, and whistleblower, and co-author of the 200-Year Plan with the late Ted Gunderson, FBI Special Agent in Charge, whistleblower, and author. Majestic 12, also known as MJ-12, is a purported secret organization that appears in UFO conspiracy theories. According to these theories, Majestic 12, fondly known as MJ-12, was a code name for a committee formed in 1947 by an executive order comprising scientists, military leaders, and government officials. The committee allegedly handled the recovery of an extraterrestrial aircraft and subsequent cover-ups. Noel Benoit, or Benoist, however you want to pronounce it, depending on what geographical location you're in, claims to be the 13th seat on Majestic 12 to replace one of the 12 if they become incapacitated. Son of the youngest full bird colonel, the sole custodian of the Normandy Day invasion plans, Noel has multiple appearances credited and unaccredited in movies such as The Quick and the Dead and others. He founded a ministry, Glory to God, United Ministries Worldwide. He's very active in the veteran community and humanitarian philanthropist. Without further ado, Noel Benoist. How's that for an introduction? That was a pretty good one, huh?
Boy, that's a wild one. That was a Pandora's box introduction.
Yeah, as we were doing the last recording, I was like, yeah, I'll just use that from the introduction from now on. So there we go.
Yeah, that'll refill the bippy.
Woo, all right, so the unbelievable. All right, he's briefly told me this, and it's kind of two stories that meld into one, I guess, right?
Yep.
Okay.
One was the kind of like the introduction operation, and then the other was a follow-up, and then they adopted it. And the trouble is, now what I did, they're using against us.
Oh, really?
Because we were at a meeting. Oh yeah, really? They do that, you know? I think they think they're judo experts. They're going to use everything America uses against America.
I'm appalled. Shocked.
I know, me too.
Speechless.
Well, that's only because Paul was one of my favorite apostles. So I mean, I can be a Paul follower and a Paul person.
Yeah, no joke. Hey, before we dive into the show, this is actually the #1 proof copy that I had to go through to edit to make sure everything was copacetic with Amazon, punctuation, grammar, settings, format, borders, margins. Yeah. But this is the 200-Year Plan, 2025 edition, co-titled The Deep State, Shadow Government, and the Great Deceit by Ted Gunderson, FBI whistleblower. Ted's no longer with us, by the way. And, of course, Noel, who you see on the screen, NSA whistleblower. And it's been updated to July 2025. So it's current to this month because I got it uploaded about 2 weeks ago. But we'll be signing this book. But not only will we be signing this book, But Noel is going to bring copies of this book.
That's right.
Which is the brown book, the original book. These books, if you can find one, are very expensive. So he's going to bring some to the gig on Saturday, August 9th at the Sky Pony Gallery in Plano, Texas. And if you want one of these, you want one autographed, if you want an original, everything's going to be there. Also, I'll be there with the Specialty Trust book, as well as the On Trust book by Anne LaFleur. So if you want to pick up both of those, they'll be available. I'll be speaking August 10th. Now, you would normally think I'm going to go in there and talk about trust, right? Because I'm bringing trust books with me, but no. I'm going to be talking about artificial intelligence, digital twin, digital reality, what your real digital footprint looks like, because most people have just no comprehension of the quagmire that we are currently in as a society, unaware that we're really almost operating in a digital reality.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really is, because almost all your financial transactions are what? Digital. Yeah. You're not sending cash through your computer or through your Venmo app, or you're sending a digital form of currency. So I'm going to be talking about all that stuff. If you really want to get into a deep dive, it's taken me a lot of hours to prepare for this, to culminate all the information, get it in a presentation format, and put it together for you guys. So not only will this be Noel's first speaking engagement, it will be mine as well. So I'm anxious, excited, and really look forward to just going there and just having fun, meeting some new people, and spreading the word. Try to inform many people as I can. What's coming in your future, what it looks like, because a lot of people are so entrenched in the dogma of their whatever it is, political, religious, media, social media, influencer, group, book, whatever, that they're not seeing the overall grander big picture of what's coming. And when it comes, it's going to come so fast, so overwhelming, that nobody's going to be able to do anything about it, because the bell will have been rung. Well, actually, the bell's already been rung, and people don't realize that. So I'm going to be the clarion, the Paul Revere. Hopefully my message gets through. That's all I can say.
Amen.
So let me go get the image file so I can show you exactly what I'm talking about, where we're going to be. And the reason I'm having issues, excuse me. One of my external drives got corrupted, and I just got it back. And in doing so, I'm transferring data over to another hard drive, so I can I'm just transferring everything around. So that's what's taking me a minute. So what am I looking for? Those are over here. So in the meantime, I had to throw everything up into the cloud. So I'm dealing with six different storage areas to put this together. There we go.
Yeah.
Yes, there we go. StreamYard is dragging ass. There you go, folks. This is Noel Benoist, Real Men in Black Live presentation and book signing. Again, Noel will be speaking from 3 till 5. He could go over. And then the balance of the evening, and I chose Noel to go first because I'm sure he has a ton of stories to tell. I'm sure people have a ton of questions. And last time I did an event, well, I didn't do it. I attended an event. It was my first event to attend there. Actually, the only one I've attended. But that was Wano Savin's El Magador jacket signing that was produced by Baby Trump, Chris Eriks. And that's when I met everybody. And so I went there Saturday, probably, around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe 3. When I got there, they gave me a number, and that was my number to get in line to talk to Wano Savin. Well, I don't know if and when they ever did call my number, but 3:45 a.m. Sunday morning. Okay, I got there Saturday afternoonish. So Sunday morning, 3:45, we finally get to talk to Juan, Mama Mel, and myself, and we all, the Kiki and Doug, Chris, Wano Savin, and myself, walked out of the Willow Bend Mall at 4:30 a.m. Sunday morning, and then had to be back again at 1 p.m. Sunday. So, yeah, that's what we did. That's what they did. And so this Saturday, that's why I chose Noel for 3 to 7 p.m. because there is a fully stocked bar. Tipped. Yeah, this is a badass gallery. That's why I chose this, because it's a fun, exciting place. There's just nonstop stuff to look at, see, buy, experience. It's just a real serene place to be, real laid back, real positive energy. Everything that goes on there is just positive. Great owners, Doug and Kiki, as well as artists. So I'm really looking forward to this. And of course, yeah, we are promoting this. And that's why I'm talking about it. And there you go. I don't know why Noel's not on there. Uh-oh, it's lagging. So there you are.
Got me now?
All right. Yeah, you're good. It's just, for some reason, it's lagging. I think it's because I'm transferring these files. Let me see where I'm at. Oh, I got 8% more, so it'll be done by the time we get finished.
There you go.
There you go. All right. So
I'll do a Foster Brooks. Actually, I just went over to the Pony Bar.
All right. Well, tell us, what is the unbelievable?
Well, that was the plan that I came up with when the Czechoslovakian crisis was going on. They were in the Invasion Valley, and they had the entire Polish tank group.
Hold on. Timeline. When was this?
That was 67 or 68. I'd have to look up the actual year because I'm going back a lot of years, but 67 or 68. The Polish tanks and everything went down in Czechoslovakia, and then they made it out as though Poland was going to maybe be invading Czechoslovakia, but actually Russia was behind it, and they had all of the Polish tanks and all of the Czechoslovakian tanks in the Invasion Valley that has traditionally been the valley that they would use to invade the rest of Europe. And we actually figured that in less than a day, we would be on the beachhead again. They were ready to go that much, that fast, and that powerful. And so...
Who's they?
Pardon?
Who is they? They.
The Czechs, the Poles, and the Russians. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was all three together, all three. And
all right.
their goal, urged by Russia, basically was they wanted to take Europe. Their actual plan was to take Europe and then stand Europe and make a united Europe under Russia.
In the late 60s?
Yep, 68 or so, 67, 68.
Okay.
Yeah, if you Google the Czechoslovakian crisis, I think it was 67, 68, people don't realize how close that came to being World War III. Yeah, because Russia wanted to be like the United States, forcing all the countries in Europe to be under Russia, like a united Russia instead of United States. And that's why they still more or less lay claim to a lot of those, like they claim that Ukraine is theirs, you know, and all these different places belong to Russia, you know, and they go back to the Tsar of Russia and everything. But yeah, they were ready to go. And we knew, and we were ready to destroy. That's how, one of the reasons I got into Pandora's box and some stuff and did a lot of extra hours in there and reading top secret material and everything and coming up to speed. And because we weren't that far from the East German border, and those tanks could roll 35, 45 miles an hour pretty easy. So they would make it from there to the coast. And there were so many of them that they would just basically roll over anything in their way, blow anything out of the way that they needed to blow out of the way. And so we knew that we were right on the edge of World War III. And so I told them, I said, look, guys, I said, I've told you guys before, if you do something in an unbelievable way, people will normally not believe it. And that's basically what they're using against America today. And I told them, I said, you guys are all hopped up. We're ready to evacuate. We're ready to destroy all of our classified files. And we're ready to basically get out of there as fast as we can and then just hit the beachhead again in order to minimize casualties. So I told him, I said, you got nothing to lose, everything to gain. I told him, I says, you give me permission and I will do the unbelievable and show you that even in their home territory, they won't believe it. And I told him, I said, the last thing in the world that they would expect would be an American who doesn't speak Russian, doesn't speak Czechoslovakian, doesn't speak Polish, to come into their headquarters as a high KGB general. And they're like, what are you going to do when you got to speak? I said, easy. We had a one language guy, and he was perfect in Russian. He was perfect in Czechoslovakian, and he was perfect in Polish. And I said, we put him in either like a high colonel's outfit or like a brigadier general for the KGB. And I'll be the higher general, but not the highest, because they might know the highest name-wise or whatever. And he'll let them know that I've replaced somebody or I'm new. We come up, I said, we can come up with a story that he can tell them if anybody approaches him. But his main thing will be, you approach the general and you'll be on the Russian front or out in Siberia by tomorrow morning. And he kind of laughed. He said, that works. He said, you know, they fear that because Russia has frequently basically squashed any resistance by, you know, we'll have you on the Russian front or out in Siberia by tomorrow morning. And they've sent people there. And so that's one thing that the fear that basically Czechs and the Poles and all of that would be afraid of. Plus, they know, but they didn't know we knew, Russia was leading the whole thing. So they wouldn't expect us to know that. Therefore, why would they expect a Russian general to be there unless he's really a Russian general checking things out? Because they also had some stuff back and forth between the Poles and the Czechs on leading the charge, what valley, which one would go down. The Poles wanted to go first and all that. And so I said, we've got a perfect storm right now to make use of, do the unbelievable, and they won't believe it. And that's usually the timing, the best timing for something unbelievable, because people are already occupied with a lot of thoughts, trying to think of a lot of things and a lot of possibilities. So we went across the border at night. We snuck across the border and we got in there, and we actually had some people over on the other side, some of our people, and they outfitted us with a good modern general worthy KGB vehicle, etc. And so the next morning we rolled in and he introduced me to the gate. You know, General, whatever name he had, is here to inspect your headquarters. We've heard some things that we don't like, you know, and stuff like that. And, you know, we're going to go in there right now or this will all be over and everything. And he just came off real strong like they normally would. And so the guy just saluted and we went in and we parked by the headquarters. And I was I think it kind of actually helped me a little bit in my performance because I was kind of inside laughing, inside excited, and yet at the inside, and also inside just knowing it'll work. And so in a way, I had the general's arrogance about me. And they asked, you know, and they made me look a little bit older, but not too old. And so, but nobody dared make any comments. And we waltzed into their headquarters and got their code books out. And we photographed their code books and everything, put them back, went through a few more rooms and made a few comments. He made a few comments for me about, well, the general thinks this, and you need to get this organized, and you and the Poles, the Czechs and Poles have got to work closer together, or Russia is going to be coming down, and then none of you will like it. If you're the first ones there and you work together, you'll get the spoils of war and things like that. And then we waltz out of there. We come back across the border. We delivered our rig to the undercover setup and came back across. And we used that and we cracked their codes and everything. And we actually got a copy of the letter or the orders that they were going to get. And we had that in our hands and basically decoded it and everything. And we gave the Polish and the Czech generals their orders from the Kremlin an hour before they got them from the Kremlin. And we told them within an hour or two at the most, you will get these exact orders from the Kremlin. And so when they got the orders, and it was about an hour, then they called the Kremlin immediately and said, the Americans gave us the exact orders that you just gave us, but they gave them to us an hour ago. And so then there was their teletype and all of their code stuff was back and forth a little bit. And they basically said, if the Americans know we're coming an hour before we launch, they said we could walk into the valley, they could have nukes around the invasion valley, and they fire all those nukes at the same time, we're vapor. So they told the Kremlin, I think we're walking into a suicide. So the Czechoslovakian crisis died overnight. It was just suddenly dead. Poles went back home, Czechs went back to work, and it was just zero, as though it never existed. And that's why that happened. And so then, I told them in headquarters, I said, now, you guys have seen, if you do it in an unbelievable way, they won't believe it. And then I turned around, I used that with the group that were smuggling drugs. I used that with the gun smugglers. And I used that with all of those different groups over there. And I basically just went straight to one of the head guys and I would come up with something off the wall. And of course, back then I did some comedy routine and impersonations at some of the coffee houses and stuff as like a cover. And one of the guys, the German guy that was he was in Nuremberg with his blue metal flake 911. And I went up to him and impersonated him with his voice and his German and everything and his characteristics. And he laughed. He said, I like you, you know? And so then I'm like, well, I like you too. You seem to have a lot of power around this place, and I love power. And he's like, well, you stick with me, you'll have some power. So it was like, I just stepped into like the number 2 slot, you know, just stepped right into it. You know, he wanted to have somebody around that was fun, right? And then a couple of guys came in with a bad report. And so then I said, and I did kind of a Hitler thing, you know? And so then in German, I go, yeah, that's not a good report. You bring this stuff here in 1 hour, or you will see your grandmother in 2 hours. And they'd say, my grandmother's dead. I know, you know, and the guy laugh at it, you know. And so I gave a few of his people messages like that, and the guy loved me. You know. So okay. I did that, and I started doing that kind of stuff, and it worked. It works like a charm. Matter of fact, I got a high position. I was actually considered, when I got out, I was considered for the highest position in Europe for the civilian engineers and everything. And the guy that was in Japan had preference if he wanted to transfer, so they let him transfer. I wrote a letter, and I had a gal write the letter for me, nice female writing, and put a little of her perfume on it, and then put his name on it, and to him personally, with no return address. And inside it, I had my resume, and it said, I can do things like this and get to the top people when nobody else can. And nobody touched it. They gave it straight to the head guy who was considering who they should hire. And I got a letter from the Secretary of State and from him. We really wanted you for this position, but the director in Japan wanted to transfer, and that's like automatic authority to transfer. So my outrageous letter, nobody believed that a guy would write a female type letter to the guy that's hiring, and then tell the guy that's hiring, I'm actually a guy. This is why I did this, because I'm the best man for the job. You know, but then they've developed it into a whole psychology for many fields.
So let me ask you this. So was this Czechoslovakian event, was that part of your Man in Black experiences? Or was this through military?
I was internal affairs for those guys at the time. And I had just made more or less the first level, more or less, of like your Men in Black type stuff.
Okay.
And that was my first big mission as a Man in Black. And after I did that, they just put me on the top. They said, you're not new. Come here. You're tops. You know, I went from, I was actually there to investigate the base at first, and they knew that I had more clout than they thought I had. And when I made the meeting, and then I talked to them there and stuff. But then when I did that stuff and a couple of things there, the number 2 guy came actually to see me, and they said, hey, the big guy, one of the big guys is headquarters. He wants to see you. So I went. And then they offered me basically even higher than Men in Black, because that's when he told me, he said, Noel, he said, you seem to be pro-American. I said, oh, yeah. And he said, you're an outrageous guy. And he says, you've done so much stuff. He says, you violate the regs all the time, but you're successful. So all we can do is try to put it down as a successful operation. And he told me, he said, we actually need more like you. And they said, how would you like to be the top? We're looking at you for internal affairs for all matters of national security for MAJCOM, also known as MJ-12, Majestic 12. MAJCOM is another one of their names. And that's the military name that they use a lot. When I told one of the Secret Service guys I was MAJCOM C-13, the guy acted like he just got scared out of his shoes. He was, oh, well, you know, we had to, I mean, it was like he just met Hitler. And so
that's a bad analogy. That's a bad analogy. Bad.
But that's how the guy acted, like he just met Hitler. But the trouble is, MAJCOM and those guys are a lot like Hitler too. You know, they think everything they say goes. They can do no wrong. You know, they are the law, and it's really like being with 12 little Hitlers. And so he told me, he says, it's a lifetime appointment, and if you'll stay in for life. I said, I don't care. I said, you know, hey, I'm serving God and country. So I signed. They said, okay, from now on, you don't get out unless we let you out. They said, however, you are a major, battlefield major with civilian status. And they said, the reason you're a battlefield major with civilian status is because we are the only 12 who can give you an order. They said, if the president gives you an order, you just simply say, sorry, sir, I don't work for you. You're going to have to go talk to the 12. And they said, quite frankly, they said, you can kill anybody you need to kill, and there will be no investigation. You tell us you needed to kill him, as far as we're concerned, boom, it's done. You use your own discretion, and you do whatever you do in the field, because so far we love it. And that's then my security briefing went from it had the 04 still in it, but it went from a O number for officers to a social security number. And on my debriefing form, it shows right on it O numbers or service numbers for service for military, and social security numbers for civilian. And mine has 04 rank military, but it has my social security number for civilian. And that's how then basically there are only 12 people in the world they could give me an order. So I was made the 13th most powerful. And he said, I'm looking at you for number 2. And I said, well, for internal affairs, and if I'm going to be number 2, I got to know everything going on. And he said, yeah, you do. He said, you've got clearance for it. You can see anything. And that's how the other guy knew that I had authority to be in Pandora's box, because only the 12 before me being 13 on Pandora's box, you had to have magic level clearance.
Okay. So who is he? Clearance. Who's he that you're talking to? That's
the guy that was in the corridor that I saw that was taking boxes into Pandora's box all the time. He would take boxes in there, and then I asked him, what's that about? He said, well, that's where we keep all of our most secret stuff, and that's where we also destroy stuff that we want to destroy. The machine that destroys it is in there. And I said, oh, yeah, what's in there? And he said, there's stuff in there all the way back to 1911. And he said, you're cleared to go in if you want to go in. I said, well, I don't have the key code. He said, well, here. And so he poked it in. And I said, I can't remember it that fast. And he wrote it down for me. He said, you can go anytime you want.
Okay. Which we've done a show on that.
Right.
And we, I would say we scratched the surface in Pandora's box.
Oh, yeah.
Because we just, really looked at the 1911 file.
1911, 1929, 1947.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's some more juicy tidbits in there that we'll get to in later shows. And you have to remember, part of the strategy and exit of Noel's military career and intelligence career is they jack with your memory. So a lot of times as he's talking through this stuff, he starts having memory about this event that's like, an offshoot or a rabbit trail or whatever.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes like he'll just take off left, start talking about it, and you think you're still.
I'm
talking.
like Schwarzenegger. Then I go to Mars.
Yeah, you think you're hearing the same story, but it took a left turn. You're like, oh, that was odd, and you're trying to follow it, and like, man, this is not adding up. And that's when I usually step in and go, we're off. So that's the issue that we're having with some of these topics that we talk about, like Pandora's box. As we do more shows, that information will come out more and more, and we'll be digging into more Pandora's box.
Yep.
Boxes.
And I had a week of lost time. 24 hours a day from Monday all the way through Friday.
Yeah. I've had that, but that was drug induced.
Yours was more fun. Mine wasn't fun.
I don't know if it was fun, but you have to ask everybody that was around me, because they're the only ones that remember, because I don't. And sometimes, those stories terrify me. I was like, what? That's crazy.
Yeah, but anyway, yours was more expensive too. Mine didn't cost me anything other than memory.
It probably all came out in the wash eventually.
Yeah.
So is that the whole entire lickety split story?
And then I used that with the guy that was the #1 for the drug running, and I used it for the guys that were running guns, the guns out of Czechoslovakia, where one would have a serial number and one wouldn't. And so all of the ones without serial numbers went to the gun runners, and they would supply those to like gangs and everything. So they wouldn't, because they knew that you couldn't really erase a serial number on a weapon, because the serial number kind of goes into the metal. So they knew that law enforcement had a way to make that serial number come back to life. But with no serial number, they didn't have that. And then they were taking guns and drugs and everything to the sea that crosses over into Australia. And then from Australia, it was real easy going into Germany, because they're real close together, and the border guards and stuff, they had people who would be crossing the border every day, and they would load them up with the guns. Then they would do the same thing going to Luxembourg, and then from Luxembourg to England, from England to Canada, and from Canada down into America. So I basically had to trace all of that. And at times I was on a couple of different flights and a couple of different shipments, and so that I would know which way it's going, how it's going.
Were these the knockoff AK-47s from Czechoslovakia?
Yeah. They were actually real AK-47s. They were actually factory. The factory would make one that would go down the counter and one would go under the counter. The factories were actually putting out double the AK-47s that the records showed.
Right. Yeah. Every third rifle comes off the assembly line. They'll never miss it.
Yeah. Yep. Well, see, and the thing is, actually, Russia was involved in it. Your Russian gangs were involved in it. Some of the Russian leaders were involved in it. So it was okay for them to do it. Czech had their permission. And some of the Polish gangs were involved in it. And then your Polish gangs, Russian gangs, and stuff like that were some of the ones who were then selling it to some of your German gangs, and who in turn would sell them to the English gangs, who would sell them over into Canada to the American gangs.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And they were doing antiquities also. See, and I used that to get together with the guys with the antiquities. And I ended up, by doing that, I was one of the top 3 with the antiquities in less than a week. They loved me. But then they had a leak. And they're the ones that came to me in the cafe. We've got a leak and we think it's you. And that's when I had my 22 hollow point fountain pen. I think I mentioned that on one of the deals, and I pulled my pen out and I said, let me write I said, well, I knew that.
Describe this fountain pen and where you got it, who gave it to you.
Yeah. It was an undercover fountain pen that was given to me for the last resort kind of a thing. And it looked just like a fountain pen, but when you went to write it, and like you pull back on it like you're going to write it. Well, when you pull back on it, you aim it at, say, the biggest guy, and it would fire a long rifle 22 hollow point. So I could take one down, and that would, if there were two guys, would shock them. So then I could attack the other guy and give him a knockout punch. And then I've only got one guy to wrestle. And that's what it was for. But I used it. And once again, my outrages, if, do it in an unbelievable way. I just sat there nice and calm. I said, guys, when I got into this business, I figured this could happen. But I said, just let me write a letter to my family, a little note. And I said, then when you guys find out it's not me, you guys take care of my family for the rest of their life. And I'm real calm about it. And they're like, yeah, okay. So I pulled the pin out and I'm ready to turn it. And the one guy looked at the other guy, and he's like the head guy, and he's like, you know what? Let's hold off on this. We're going to hold off on this. You stay in town because we might be back. I said, okay, that's no problem. And they left. And then I went straight to headquarters and I said, we're taking this group down because I damn near got killed. And I told them what happened. So then they busted all of the different leaders. And then shortly after that, I left Germany. Well, at least I left. I went up to Denmark for a little while, and then I went down to Munich, and then I came back up to Germany in Herzl base and married my German wife. And nothing flat, I went over to the country club, and guess who became the new country club leader?
Your captain.
Manager. That was me.
Right.
Yeah. And we sold $8.5 million worth of Royal Eagle whiskey to the German Olympics. And then I ended up working with the German police on the Baader-Meinhof group.
What is that?
So unbelievable can take you into some unbelievable areas.
What is the last thing you stated? The Baader-Hofmeyr?
The Baader-Meinhof group. The Baader-Meinhof group are the ones that raided the Munich Olympics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were the terrorist group that raided the Munich Olympics.
And
I was there when they burned the house down with some of them in it.
What do you mean you were there? You're like, you started the fire? You went and got the gas?
Yeah, really. No, I was basically the lead investigator on it to find them, etc. And I had intel that they were in Frankfurt and that they were on this one street somewhere. One of them had been spotted picking up a newspaper. And so I parked at a gas station. And then first at dawn, I was going to start going up and down the street with my Volkswagen camper. I had a Volkswagen camper, looked at German plates and everything, and just looked like a German camper looking for friends or relatives, And I'd ask people maybe a name of somebody or something. I had my deal ready. So the guy at the gas station says, yeah, you can stay overnight. All of a sudden, about 11:30, I hear clang, 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 clang. That sounds like an APC on track, And then I see these lights flashing. So I come out of my camper and I see the main German policeman. And I ask him in German, I identified myself with the American intelligence that's been turning in intel on them and going after them. And I said, I know they're here near us. And he said, yeah, he said, somebody just saw one of them. They're about a block down. So I went down with the head man and they surrounded him and I was out there with him. And he told him, he said, you got 1 minute to surrender and live. And they said, we're going to start the countdown. At the end of that minute, flamethrowers are on every side of the house. And flamethrowers will hit the entire house and you will be incinerated. And they counted down to 60 and they hit the house. They had fire hoses and stuff to back them up. They hit that house and they burned it to the ground.
Who is
and that made the paper the next days.
Who is they? The German police or?
The German police. The German police side. Yeah, they burnt that thing to the ground and everybody in it. And after that, when they told Baader-Meinhof off to surrender, they surrendered. Because there were basically like your second or third tier level people were in the house. They weren't the main head guys. And then later, Botter, after he got out of their prison, he started into like photography stuff and all that. And he and one of his guys were photographing Elle Macpherson. I became one of the developers of Goldfield Ghost Town. And so Elle Macpherson is there. And I'm outrageous again. So I go up and I got my beard. And I go up and I go, "Hey, Dad Burnett, my doggone meal order bride is finally." And I gave Elle a great big old hug and a kiss. And Elle sits there and she says, "I'm hoping you'd do that." And I danced with her at the steakhouse that night. And the guy in charge was Botter. And when he introduced himself as Botter, I didn't dare tell him who I was when I was in Germany.
Right, yeah, no joke.
Because I was one of the reasons he made it to jail. Yeah. So yeah, it's like, I mean, for me, when I started the unbelievable thing, it has just been on a roll.
Right. Sounds like it. That's crazy.
That's me. I'm crazy, but I'm fun.
So basically, you hit like a support house or something like that.
The what?
You hit like a support house that was for the terrorists, but it was full of people that they needed to support.
Yeah, the house they had, it was actually like their second in command, and then a couple of friends of his that work with him, and like their third in command, because they had it set up where like South and North Germany. So one guy is leading most of the North and the other guy is leading most of the South. And the guy leading the South is the one that orchestrated the Munich terrorist attack.
Well, this was back during East and West Germany, right?
Well, East and West Germany were still divided at that time. I'm the one that told Reagan to go have an international press conference at the wall and embarrass Russia and let the whole world know, East and West Germany, they're all Germans. There's no reason to keep them parted this way. And tell Russia you were only supposed to hold it for a little while, and you're way past your time of letting them come together as a nation again. So Russia, tear down this wall. And he used exactly that. Russia, tear down this wall. And yeah, and I was an advisor to Reagan, and we had a special envelope that I would send stuff in, and to make sure he got it, because we knew people would try to get in between. And I haven't been able to work this out with Trump because they're starting to get in between us. But I would send him a letter, and then he would quote 2 or 3 lines of my letter in a press conference. And the press conference would always come within 2 weeks of the letter I sent. And then I could sit there and, yep, word for word. Okay, he got it.
Wow.
And everybody knew this envelope comes in, boom, goes to him.
Huh. So as an advisor,
Trump is surrounded.
Right. Yeah. I only knew. Unbelievable.
They were ready to do what they're trying to do today. They were ready to do it in 1980, and they thought that they were going to do it. Students applying for college had a questionnaire, and on their questionnaire, the question was, have you received your mark in your right hand or forehead yet? That was on the 1980 student questionnaires for universities and colleges, for a lot of them. People got their Social Security checks. They went down to deposit it. They couldn't do anything with it. And they got their tax refunds. They went down to deposit it or cash it. They couldn't do anything with it because the Social Security checks and the tax refunds had bearer must have mark in right hand or forehead. What they're trying to do today, they thought they were going to do in 1980, and Hillary was going to usher it in.
In 1980?
Yeah, when Reagan won. When Reagan won, and
you just said Hillary was going to usher it in.
Well, yeah, because Hillary was already getting up. You know, she was up in the Democrats, and so they had her as one of the people that was going to be like ushering in some of that stuff, and she's never let go of it. She's had that more or less as her pet project ever since. That's why she got so mad when Trump got in.
1980, I don't think she was yet in the governor's
Hillary was
mansion.
active in the Democratic Party.
Well, that's because of her father. Yeah, she come from
Hillary was. Yeah, and I think Bill was, I think, wasn't he governor of Arkansas in 80?
Yeah, he's from Hope, Arkansas. He's a Rhodes Scholar. So,
yeah.
You know, you've got to be really, really a shining bright star amongst a lot of shining bright stars to get chosen to go be a Rhodes Scholar, to go to Oxford, because Christopherson was a Rhodes Scholar. And then he was groomed, you know, for his position, went to Arkansas and ran for the governorship, and of course married Hillary Rodham.
Yeah, and then to get him to president, and see Hillary involved. Hillary was the push behind all of that.
Yeah, she was the attorney. She was the power hungry one for sure.
Yep. Yeah, and she was the push behind it, and because she was the attorney, then she was going to be the attorney ushering in the helping it become law in every state and all that jazz.
Right. Oh, that's the description. Okay.
Well, she's been big in that.
Yeah, that's all. We should just do a video on Hillary. What you know about Hillary? That'd be a pretty badass video there.
That's for sure.
Right. Now, when you were advisor to Reagan, and this is kind of off topic for the show, but it's still unbelievable. Did you have any interactions with Oliver North or Dick Cheney or George H.W. Bush?
I stayed away from Cheney because I knew he was deep state.
Okay.
Cheney had deep state connections too. Yeah, but Oliver North, I got together with him one time, and matter of fact, because he got into that stuff, and I don't know if it was my influence or not, but I think he'd heard about me, and I told him that the stuff they wanted us to do is just flat ass dead wrong, and that's why he was willing to testify when he testified about some of the stuff with the Contra and the drugs and all that jazz. And it's funny because actually it's a lot of the guys had heard about me and I didn't even know it. When I even my last 3 trips to DC, I guess they know a lot more about me or heard a lot more about me. I don't know. Well, Trump said I'm famous in the Secret Service world and the spy world and everything. That's why he declared me a MAGA living legend. And when I went to the gate down there, it was like all of a sudden this guy makes a call, he makes a call. It wasn't 2-3 minutes went by, and there were, I'd say, at least 14 to 16 Secret Service agents, and we're over by the sidewalk. They're hanging around me like we're a sidewalk group, you know. And I asked one guy, I said, well, how high's your clearance? And he laughed. He says, you know, I can't tell you that. I said, well, me, actually, I'm cleared so you can. And then another guy says, have you ever been a part of a terrorist group? I said, no. And I said, oops, wait a minute. I got to take that back. Doggone it. I have been and I am a part of a terrorist group. And they looked at me and I said, it's called MAGA and we're going to terrorize the hell out of the terrorists. And they all cracked up. But it was like all of them had to come up and meet me and shake my hand, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And he says, well, where are you going now? I said, well, I'm going to go over to the Reagan Airport, the Reagan, the Reagan Airport. What do they call it? Oh,
O'Hare.
Oh, Reagan. It's one of the it's the bigger hotel motel down there.
In where? DC?
The airport Reagan, I think is what they call it.
Okay.
Airport Reagan Hotel. I think that's what they call it, something like that. Me and names. Okay. That's what they did to me. But and the guys are sitting there, they're grabbing my bags and stuff and loading them in the Uber for me. You know. So it was kind of, I don't know. It was fun. It was fun. So I guess at least I've made a lot of waves in the right areas. And from what I hear, a lot of guys, I guess they've heard about it, and that's why we've had a lot more whistleblowers, because I've encouraged whistleblowers to come forward, and that's my whole thing. I don't care what party you're with, what position you're in. I don't care if it's your career or what you think. The nation is at stake. If you see something wrong, you're an eyewitness to something wrong, blow the whistle. Boom. We can't believe video anymore with doggone AI, so we need eyewitnesses.
You already converted. That didn't take long. All you gotta do is get scammed one time by somebody using AI, and you will be leery for the rest of your life.
Oh man, yeah. I was really surprised, because the doggone, I mean, it was so gall darn lifelike, and emotion was lifelike, and everything. I mean, it, and I guess what they do is they get somebody to do the motion, and then I don't know. I guess they make that person look like the commander or the adjutant, national adjutant, and then they give them the commander or national adjutant's voice. And
you can do it with anybody.
Yeah.
And, you know, people are posting all, you know, they're playing with these stupid little Facebook things where, you know, you look at it and it ages you or makes you an Indian or a milkman or whatever. And I'm like, man, you guys are just feeding AI left and right. It's they don't realize what they're doing, what they're playing with. A lot of people just have their heads in the sand. They don't want to be open-minded, you know, and
that's
not
what deep state does.
Yeah, and not to get off topic, okay? And don't crucify me for this. It's not my information. But
that's the unbelievable used again.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of information coming out now about Melania Trump being a Epstein girl, and that's how she met Trump, and allegedly she met him, and this is from her memoirs. Apparently, this is what was read to me yesterday. I haven't looked at the book myself, so I can't vet that this is actually from the book, but this is allegedly what came from the book, is that she was at this Kit Kat club in New York. Kit Kat Club was, and they have them here in Houston, they're like honeypot clubs where wealthy elderly men, married, unmarried, whatever, go in there and pick up prostitutes or women who are looking for high net worth individuals to hook up with, whatever that looks like. They're looking for a sugar daddy, one night stand, their rent, car payment, mortgage payment. Yeah, they have those here. I've been in and in New York, I'm sure it was the same thing. So she was in this club. This is basically what the premise of the whole club is. And that's where she met Donald Trump. Trump was actually in there with a young blonde. They didn't get any more descriptive than that. Introduced himself, met her, and then moved on. That was her first experience meeting Donald Trump. That's where she met him. So
Yeah.
a lot
Well,
of
it's a good thing for the nation that good thing for the nation. She's the opposite of that now, and so am I. Nation would be in trouble if we were still the same way.
Yeah, I could care less, if she was an underage hooker and she screwed her way to the United States and screwed her way to the top, Go
She's
Melania.
a good lady now.
Power to you. Maybe I should have been born a female and done the same damn thing.
It seems to have more power.
Yeah, or back when I was a smooth, handsome young man and had that power, instead of utilizing it like that, I just abused it. Is what it is. But I mean, there's a lot of things coming out that are unbelievable, and I look at of course, you just talked about AI. Is all this truthful? Is it not? And one thing that's going to become very valuable in the future, folks, okay, real books.
Yeah, real life testimonies,
especially historical books.
Yep.
Because they're going to do away with books just like they're doing away with what? Newspapers and magazines, right? You're getting it all online digitally. You don't get a hard newspaper anymore delivered in front of your house or in your mailbox. You don't get magazines like, they used to come to your door to door. Hey, we'll give you 20 magazines for $2.99 if you sign up today, right?
Yep. Yeah. See?
None of that's going on. So eventually books are going to be phased out. And that's why Google, one of the first things that Google did was start copying books and create that depository. So just imagine.
There's a lot of history that needs to be corrected because they've been making history what they want, going way back.
Yeah.
I mean, from Egypt on, they made their people believe what they want them to believe.
Way before that.
Yeah. Because the old stories, I mean, Ramses and doggone Moses' time, and the Egyptians were over here with their treasures, and they've got old trails. I've actually found trails. The Egyptians had a cart that was a single wheel cart, and then they would put the two handles on each side of an ox, and the ox then would take that cart up and down.
Right.
And in the Superstition Mountains, there are those cart paths carved into solid stone, wide enough for the Egyptian metal, because they had iron and then later they had steel.
Mm-hmm.
And those actually carved trails in solid rock. And you can see those trails in Superstition Mountains.
Oh, it's like Angkor Wat. If anybody's ever looked at some very detailed pictures right here of Angkor Wat, and I don't know why it took me over there to be a tour. Let me there you go. Let's see if I can. Oh, cool. We can do a slideshow and make sure I'm sliding on the right slide. There we go. Blow that up for you guys.
Yeah, see, how old is that?
Before humans.
And see, that's the thing too. During the angelic era, angels didn't need time. So, before human era, angels didn't need time. There were dinosaurs here. Matter of fact, they found a caveman's dwelling down in South America, and the door is like tons, from what I understand, but that door swings nice and easy, and it had a perfect Plesiosaurus Rex carved on the outside of it.
Right.
So if that, the guy had to, the person that carved it had to see a Plegosaurus Rex because they didn't have reverse engineering and stuff then.
Yep. Absolutely. This is all just, either bricks, blocks that are just precision fitted, or it's all one piece.
Yep.
I mean, look at that. And they didn't do that with a copper chisel. Trust me.
No.
That's Angkor Wat, and there are just tons of, well, not tons, actually tons, but there are many, many, many sites just like that all over the world. Egypt, Central America, Mexico, South America, the United States, Bosnia, one of the,
Tibet.
It claims to be the largest pyramid in the world over in Bosnia, even larger than the Egyptian pyramids.
Well, you know that they found a pyramid that's actually underwater off the coast of Florida, off the west coast of Florida, in the deepest waters there.
Right,
and
right
it's
off the continental shelf.
And it's supposed to be the largest pyramid they've ever found.
Okay, because there's one in Alaska too, right?
Yeah.
A black one.
Yeah, so they found a couple of pyramids underwater. Yep. And the thing is, if people consider the Earth, let's say the Earth's like this and the angels are on it and everything, they're building places. Now all of a sudden water's coming out of the Earth, water's coming down to the Earth, and then the Earth goes like this. And the Earth, boom. They don't know if the Earth, what's the North Pole and South Pole now might have been at one time east and west.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, definitely. It's definitely happened.
Yeah. So then, boom, here's your oceans of today. Yep.
Yeah, it's all strange things. So unbelievable. What else do you got to add to the unbelievable?
Oh, let's see. I can't remember. That's unbelievable.
So let me ask you this, because we probably do a whole show on this. Presidents. Obviously, you've been advising presidents since
I started out, well, actually, this is something funny too, because here's a kicker. I say the first president who actually helped me was none other than Monica Lewinsky's boyfriend.
Oh. Hillary.
Bill Clinton. And I figured if Bill Clinton was enough of a rebel to dodge the draft and then run for president and get elected, maybe he'd do something, because they couldn't get after me. It's like unbelievable again. They couldn't. I took a risk, but I said, hey, they can't get after me for giving the president a report because he's commander in chief. If I told anybody else, I would be sharing national security information, and I'd be in Leavenworth for breach of security. And that's where Hillary Clinton, when she had her special room, she had people in and out of there that aren't even cleared.
Oh, hold on.
And emails that are high classified. Yeah,
she
should have been in Leavenworth long ago. That shows you how much power she's always had.
Special room where? In the White House?
In the White House, yes. She had a special room with the electronic locks on it. And you're supposed to have had magic to be in that room. And she had people in and out of there having coffee breaks, in there chatting with her, with magic little classified documents on her desk. And then she's got top secret stuff in her personal emails going on the web, and nothing happened to her.
No, she's untouchable.
A first sergeant. See, we used to do practice emails. If I sent something with a certain code on it, being critical, then it had to get from me to the president within 10 minutes, no matter where I was in the world, no matter where he was.
Right.
So we had a stamp for a practice. They saw that code no matter if it had the practice stamp or not, it better get there in 10 minutes, and it would be timed all the way. So I sent a message that actually could cause World War III, and they forgot to put the sergeant forgot to put the stamp on it. So they call me. We got this message. Is this valid? I'm going, no, that's a practice. What are you talking about? There's no stamp on it? They says, no. So I call the sergeant in, and I told him, I says, hey, you screwed up, man. You forgot to put the stamp on there. I said, you're lucky they call me for verification, or you could start World War III. And he was all apologetic. That didn't matter. Operations officer called him in, busted him down to a private E2, and sent him to the White House to mow the lawn.
What?
And said, you'll never again touch national security. Yeah. Now, if that happened to him for a little thing like that, what in God's green earth should have happened to Hillary? That shows you how much power Hillary's had for a long time with nobody knowing.
Well, I think we should give her some head trimmer so she can go trim some bush.
Yep, that's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah. And I would not be a bit surprised if she wasn't. Well, I think she was in like the San Francisco cult stuff. So was Schiff and Pelosi. They were when I was a JFK Democrat and I came back. They wanted me to go down there to the San Francisco Church of Satan with them and go to their special school to fine tune my gifts and abilities. And I said, no way, no way, Wow. I'm not going that route.
Right.
Yeah.
No joke.
Yep.
All right. Well, what do you want to talk about in the next video?
Doing some unbelievable stuff.
Right. But, what do you want to talk about in the next video?
Yep.
What do you want to talk about in the next video? What else you got up your sleeve? You sent me a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we mentioned what did we mention after the Czechoslovakian crisis and unbelievable? The next item we mentioned. That's what people need to know. I wrote this stuff down and I sent it to Floyd, and now I can't even remember what I wrote down.
He doesn't know what day it is. Don't lie. All right.
Pardon?
I'm teasing with you. Let's see. We did the smuggled drugs. You talk about the guy in
the drug smuggling. That was actually, that was part B. The drug smuggling and stuff was part B of the unbelievable. Or did we cover that? We covered that pretty much. The way they would bring it across the lake and take it over.
Yeah, here you mentioned the metal flake blue Porsche 911 with the single number on it.
Yeah, and I mentioned that I think in this go round, didn't I?
No, you didn't talk
on it with the number one.
You didn't mention a blue Porsche 911.
Oh, but that, yeah. Now that see, that led to a couple of good busts. People might remember they busted a plane in Florida, and the entire fuselage was full of cocaine, and they figured there was millions of dollars worth of cocaine on that. So all of that stuff led to quite a bit. Of course, I don't know. Those guys might be alive still. So,
well, unless they murdered
enough, I'm not worried about it.
Or had sex with a minor.
Government tried to kill me. They're not going to kill me either.
Yeah, well,
government tried to kill me. They can't do it. Those guys can't either.
Yeah, there's only two qualifications that absolve you from statute of limitations. That would be murder or sexual assault on a minor. So I think you're all good. I think they're good too.
Yep. Well, I was talking about the drug runners that might want to get me because I cost them mega millions and a bunch of them went to prison. Matter of fact, in 70, they wanted to put me in the American Peace Officers Hall of Fame. 72, 73, or 74. They wanted to put me in the American Peace Officers. I said, you can put my name in the Hall of Fame, but no photo because I was still working on some stuff. And because, they had me check. We could talk about some of the sheriffs that I had to check out. We got word of. checked
Right. Yeah.
out. Worcester County.
Yeah, those are next.
Yeah, and Worcester County and Plymouth County and another one.
We'll get it together.
And 2 courts.
Yep. We'll get it together.
And the Plymouth County Court and that. Huh?
Well, I said, we'll get it together.
Yep. Yeah.
We'll get it together. All right. Anything else you want to add to Unbelievable while we're still here?
That's all I can think of now, but I'll probably have a flashback and wake up at midnight. Oh man, I should have covered that.
Right. Yeah. Hindsight's 2020, as we say. But if you want to hear,
before I ever saw Schwarzenegger's film, I was there because I would do that with people, and they'd say, "You should go watch Total Recall." And we used to call it Total Recall. Now they call it an eidetic memory.
Eidetic memory. Yep. All right, Noel Benoist, or Benoit, Real Man in Black, will do a 2-hour presentation from 3 to 5 p.m. August 9th, Saturday at the Sky Pony Gallery. A meet and greet book signing, photograph session, whatever it turns out to be. I'm sure it'll be a grand old time. I'll get with Kiki here in a minute as soon as we get off the video and see where she's lined up. But come check him out, and I will be speaking the next day on Sunday from 1 to 5. So come check us out.
Yeah. After Texas, we'll have some more material too.
Yeah, we're working on something right now for October, and there may be something either before or after that. So, all right, Noel, thank you for coming on live, and we're going to shoot some more videos. They will be posted, up until the event in Plano. Obviously, those will be recorded live as well. So if you cannot attend for geographical reasons or any other reasons, you'll be able to watch it live on all my social media platforms. All right. Well, thank you, Noel. I appreciate you being here. We'll get on to the next one.
Amen.
There you go. All right, everybody. Again, we put another one in the can. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. Here, let me throw up this little banner for Noel again, so y'all know exactly who he is, what he's all about. If y'all want to come see him up in Plano, get to meet him one-on-one, when are you ever going to get to meet a real man in black? Whether or not he wears a black hat, black suit, white shirt, black tie, black sunglasses, black shoes. I don't know. But he just might showing up like the Blues Brothers. That would be funny. And it would be funnier if a Belushi showed up and they could actually do a Blues Brothers song. Now that would be unbelievable. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. Of course, got the 2-3 minute outro coming up. So stay tuned. I got more videos coming up. All 19 parts of Ann LaFleur's On Trusts. It was the original 24-part series that ended up being 19 parts that I have edited, re-uploaded. They come out Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Monday and Friday, 8 p.m. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. The introduction's already been in the can. I think we're on like 8, 9, or 10 to go live. So if you want to learn more about trust, you can watch that. It's quite lengthy, probably 15 hours total watch time. All 19 videos. And you're going like 19. I thought you just said there was 20, Floyd. Well, there are 20. Part 20 will be a live show with Ann LaFleur. The last episode, 19, debuts August 12th or 13th. So we'll probably do one, let's see, I'm working the 13th and 14th, so definitely not then. Maybe the 15th. It depends on how I feel after doing my gig. So we'll see how that rolls. But If you want to come see me, Noel, both of us, or you just want to come hang out with a bunch of great people in an awesome place at Sky Pony Gallery in Plano, Texas, come one, come all. I don't know if there's going to be food, catering, or anything like that there, but I know definitely will be plenty of beverages, adult and non-alcoholic beverages, even coffee. Yep. So look forward to being there at the Sky Pony Gallery with Doug and Kiki Winters. Again, here's their website. Let me throw this up for you real quick, just on a little outro to give them some love, because everybody needs love. At least that's what Lennon and McCartney told me. There you go, Sky Pony Gallery. It is the shops at Willow Bend. I just call it the Willow Bend Mall in Plano. You can sign up for emails. Here's some of the artists' work. And there's sculptures, jewelry, books, incense, esoteric material, all kind of stuff. So fun thing, fun place. They do put on events all the time. The Vibe Market, which they just did. And it's on the second level, kind of above the food court. So if you come in through the food court and you take the elevator up, you're going to open up the elevator and walk straight into the Sky Pony Gallery. That's the easiest way to describe how to get there. So there you go. There's some past events that they've had. Got to give a big shout out to Doug and Kiki Winters. Thank you for allowing Noel and I to use your venue for our event. Look forward to seeing you guys there. Remember, we'll be doing book signings for this book, The 200-Year Plan, 2025 edition. Noel's going to bring a handful of copies of the original book, which is really, really, really expensive. Okay, if you can even find one. That's what the cover looks like. And this is like a beige color, beige and white with red. And there's a picture of Ted and Noel in the book. But I'll have a bunch of these books there for you to purchase, to sign, or for us to sign, whatever, as well as Anne LaFleur's On Trust, Revocable, Irrevocable, Express, Foreign Land, Charitable Remainder, and College Education Trust, and as well as the Specialty Trust, which has the DNA addendum. So you can capture your DNA, and it's your property, your asset. If you have not made entities aware that it's yours, every time you go into a doctor's office to say, can we take your blood, please? And you go, oh, yeah. Do I need to sign a consent form for that? Oh, yeah, you already did when you did all your intake material. And you just gave your DNA away. Probably not a wise decision. So you may want to go try and get it back. That's how you do it. In the book. Everything's in these books. Okay? If you're going to create a trust and you really don't know anything about it, everything is in the On Trust book. Every form, document, contract, agreement, terms, conditions, final will and testament, checkbook, ledger, stocks, bonds, you name it. It's in that book. It's a one-stop shop. You don't need anything else. Now, if you're going to dive deeper into trusts, okay, and you really, 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 really want to operate in trust, completely 100% private, you're going to dive into some specialty books or specialty trusts. Now, is this the, be all, one all book that, that's the one, Floyd? No, there's other trusts out there besides just these. These are the ones that Ann put together for the trust that are pretty much common, but not really common. The most of the common ones are in the On Trust book. So this one, if you have a pet, you have a farm, or you have a spouse and you're married and you want a marital trust, community property trust, asset protection trust, special needs if you have an elderly parent or loved one that may need some hospice care and you want to set up a trust. Everything's in that book. So, and I'm not telling you, hey, buy the book. Everybody should have a trust. They should at least learn how to operate in trust. There's plenty of places you can go get one for free. Go to any one of the new chat AIs and they'll do them for you. And, you know, will you understand it? Probably not. Will it have all the forms that you're probably ever going to need? Doubtful. You're going to have to recreate those when you just get the book and have it all right there at your fingertips. And when you pass, guess what? Your heirs, your beneficiaries, now they have all of that at their fingertips. So not only do you go on and do one of these sites and create your trust, you're not educating your beneficiaries or your heirs or your next executor, grantor, trustees that are going to continue your will after you pass. Did you catch that? So all that's in here. The book you can hand to your child. They can read it. You can teach them at an early age how to operate in trust. Whereas opposed to AI, a little bit more difficult. And plus, it's a book. It's a real book. Something that's going to become extinct here in the near future when AI takes over and nobody's going to want to carry a book around. They're just going to say, hey, read me Ann LaFleur's On Trusts. Would you like that in English, Arabic, Mandarin, Russian? You'll be able to get it in any language you want read to you. That's what the future is coming. So there you go. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I want to thank Noel for coming on the show. Again, thank Doug and Kiki for allowing me to do the event over there. Really appreciate you. I really, really do. I'm looking forward to coming up there and seeing you, hanging out, spreading the love, spreading the cheer, spreading the good information, the research, and the education. Because all I'm trying to do, folks, I'm just searching for the truth. And I don't care what it looks like or, you know, even if it's detrimental to my own livelihood, you know, because it is what it is. I'd rather find out the truth and stem the hemorrhaging, you know, the festering and the continuation of something that's going nowhere, and just immediately cut that off and reroute and go take care of business and hopefully have a more fruitful endeavor. Some people don't want to hear the truth, and it really sucks. But as we discussed, you know, the ignorant shall perish for lack of knowledge. And those are the ones that are going to be overwhelmed because it's going to hit them just a full frontal assault. And they're not, I mean, people don't even know right now, don't even know. They have no idea. Everybody thinks that AI is that little AI that they interact with, like ChatGPT or Claude, Opus, whatever, or Anthropics, Grok, all of those. No. There's multiple categories of artificial intelligence just beyond the one that you interact with. Okay. And people aren't seeing the overall worldwide effect of what these companies are doing and how much money they are throwing at this technology. Just wantonly, recklessly. Perfect example, Mark Zuckerberg, Meta, Facebook, to poach artificial intelligence engineers from the top companies, the top people, a $100 million signing bonus. If that doesn't tell you how important that technology is on the forefront of the future and how quickly these people want this technology here and in control, $100 million signing bonus. Signing bonus. Okay? That's not including their salary or any stocks, dividends, benefits, bonuses. Okay. That's just the signing bonus. So the enormity of the amounts of money being thrown at artificial intelligence and robotics is mind blowing, folks. We're not talking about, $5 trillion. We're talking in the tens of trillions of dollars in whole. Absolutely. That's the next technology. That's the next big bubble. If you missed the .com bubble, if you missed the real estate bubble, if you missed the crypto bubble, hey, AI, it's worth coming. And a lot of people become wealthy with it. And then there's going to be those that become the Uber AIs, the alpha AIs, the ones that control anything and everything. So that's what I'm going to be talking about on the 10th. So come see me if you want to hear more and get the minutia and the dogma and the machinations of what our future is going to look like and all the technology that is currently in use today. Because remember, these people live on a completely different planet, different reality than we do. They do not live our life. Humanity. It's going to be surrendered for convenience. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys. Y'all have a good night. Thank you for hanging around after the show. I want to present to you Tailor Made Trust, featuring Ann LaFleur's Trust Series, available at tailormadetrust.com, as well as thefearlessfloydshow.com store. Here are a handful of the available trusts that can be built, custom tailored to your needs and desires. 25 different trusts, plus the DNA trust addendum. And as always, Ann LaFleur's classic trusts and ancillary classes, and also Ann's books on trust and specialty trust, which I also co-authored. If you'd like to get a class, a book, or have a trust custom built for you, always available at the fearlessfloydshow.com store. And I'll see you in the next show. Thank you for watching and have an awesome day.